Kisiana gidingari peroma. Keep the eye in your bussy. Ding the eye sukwa kupila. Rough and tough. Yeah, manete. Real warriors. Sila. Fukuma manteng fosi ya sangopo. Ding be a ela ding ole tank for poroko. Wakoming kilomito any toko toko. Angana de show machine ding be ano so. Make it ding tenti. Sweat ya ding fesi. Go to any ado tima struggle ebi. Ala gari pero na wang soldier I'm sabi. Anga fire anything at and strength in him. I gari pero man rough and tough. Roko tanga when the road get rough. Jungle life, but you not give up. You fight for your family, you rise above. Carry pero man, keep your head strong. Napoli and money, only vision long. Big up yourself, you a lion in a land. Suriname, no say you a real strong man. Takyang ading umang fu exceeding king. Ajabusi a struggle grinding fi bring. Kupotin jang atafata pupe siku. Giding you so no go look da mga baka pasi in a secret route. Real queen stay loyal and pray. Take you mang da buse feti ani sanga nga aleng alade. Carry pero no play. He risking him life, so show him respect. Be a faithful wife. This a no Japan no week. People listen. Them lied to us from long time, but the truth done show now. Oh, Israelite right, Zion children right. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken. Black man, native man with a holy tribe, but colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Angels black, prophets black, the history clear, but Babylon's system cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousands they cry for the message. Hey, hey. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. This is the truth where the prophet done bless. From Jerusalem to Africa, they scatter. We to the islands to the west in slavery. Change our names, put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy online. From the ghetto to the village, we testify. Israelite, we can never die. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh. Thousands they cry for the message. Yeah, yeah. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. The truth of the Bible must reach every flesh. Who are the chosen? We are the chosen. Who are the children? We are the children. From Zion, from Judah, from Israel, we rise. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh. Jews and they're thirsty for the message. Yeah, yeah. Billions are yearning for the message. Yeah, yeah. This is the truth and the whole world confess. No more lie, no more disguise. Israelite rise, we open our eyes. Billions are waiting, trumpet sound. True. Hey, people listen. Them lied to us from long time, but the truth done show now. Oh, Israelite right, Zion children right. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken. Black man, native man with a holy tribe, but colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Angels black, prophets black, the history clear, but Babylon's system cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousands they cry for the message. Hey, hey. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. This is the truth where the prophet done bless. From Jerusalem to Africa, they scatter. We to the islands to the west in slavery. Change our names, put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy online. From the ghetto to the village, we testify. Israelite, we can never die. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousand.
Yes, folks, I am here.
Message.
Thousands
Billions are hungry.
are waiting for the message.
Yeah, yeah. The truth.
So says this young lady in song.
Chosen.
So all of you locked into the Civic Vibes space at this time, welcome on board to our program awaits you guys. Today being the 9th of November, 2025.
Israelite right, Zion children right. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken.
Let's take a little of this number and then we get into the meat of things here.
Colonial hand try to kill the vibe. Angels black, prophets black, the history clear. But Babylon's system cover it for years. Now we shout in loud.
A very conscious one starting us off.
Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message.
It's already 10 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock in Dominica and the region space that we live. Those of you in the region, welcome on board as well.
For the message.
Dominica and Dominicans, we are here.
This is the truth where the prophet don't bless. From Jerusalem to Africa, they scatter. We to the islands to the west in slavery. Change.
Those of you further afield, welcome on board as well.
Of Yah, still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy online. From
millions are waiting for the message.
Israelite, we can never die. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousand they cry for the message.
Thousands of you are crying for the message.
Billions are hungry for the message.
And yes, you guys are always hungry for that message indeed. Thank you very much.
Every flesh.
All those of you already, Alyssa, good evening to you, my bro. And your folks up there in the Bath Estate area.
From Zion, from Judah.
Brother Val D, good evening to you. Maury, Jules, Viva, Mamo, Stephanie, John Baptist.
Waiting for the message. Oh, oh.
Clarolyn Warrington, Marshall Lawrence.
Yeah.
Mali Ostri, good evening to you.
Message.
Clarolyn Warrington, Ramona St. Rose.
Confess.
Uvelma Hambren says she's locked or he's locked.
Rise, we open our eyes. Billions are waiting, trumpets sound. True children of Zion, we are found.
Yes, so we are here indeed, starting us off here this evening with a very powerful number.
For the message.
They're waiting for that message indeed.
The truth where the prophet don't bless.
The message of truth and nothing but the truth.
God is scatter, we to the islands to the west.
Folks, this evening we're gonna have a very interesting program.
On our neck, but
we're gonna hear from Brother Zed Lloyd, very passionate Zed Lloyd, outspoken brother.
Time.
No stranger to Civic Vibes.
Line from the ghetto.
He'll be here with us in just a bit.
Israelite, we can never die.
Running a little late, that is Brother Zed Lloyd.
Message.
The clock played a number on Brother Zed Lloyd this evening. You know, the clock went back an hour, at least for him living in the US. But he will be here with us in just a bit.
The truth of the Bible must reach every flesh.
Zed is going to talk to us on a very important topic about leadership. Effective leadership, that is. He's going to talk to us about an experience he himself had in New York. He living in New York as well. With that election of this brother.
There we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible,
and what lessons we can learn here in Dominica. Read that kind of leadership.
Colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Angels black, prophets black, the history clear. But Babylon's system covered it for years. Now we
and then later in the hour, just about 7 o'clock my time,
we stand our ground.
We're gonna hear from Mr. Arlene, that is Bernard Arlene. Again, no stranger to the vibes.
Cry for the message. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah.
Brother Bernard Arlene is going to share with us some of his thoughts as it pertains to the confirmation process. Some aspects thereof are not in the interest. I repeat, they're not in the interest of the Dominican public.
But the covenant of Yah.
So you're going to hear that and more from Brother Bernard and Mr. Zed Lloyd in just a bit.
Prophecy online from the ghetto to the village.
Dorian Dorival, good evening to you.
Elijah, we can never die. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh.
Yes, folks, we were not here for the past 2-3 weeks.
Message.
Just giving you guys that time that you needed to sort of enjoy your independent celebrations, huh?
The truth of the Bible must reach.
But now this is done and dusted. We are back with you guys in a very, very big way.
We are the chosen. We are the chosen. Who are the children? We are the children. From Zion, from Judah, from Israel.
So just waiting on our brother Zed Lloyd to make his entrance here in just a bit.
Oh, no. Oh, Israelite right. Zion.
But in the meantime and between time,
there we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken.
Giving you this very conscious sister.
Tribe, but colonial hand tried to kill the vibe.
Entitled, this one is entitled Millions Are Waiting for the Message.
Cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh. Thousand they cry for.
I hope you guys are good out there wherever you are this time.
Billions are hungry for the man.
My dear friend Magdalene Augustine.
Yeah.
Good evening to you and thanks for tuning in.
Don't bless. From Jerusalem to Africa.
All those of you who are mourning the loss of a loved one.
Our names.
We at Civic Vibes, we empathize and sympathize with you, huh?
Reflect, it shall rule, but not
whatever is hurting you, whatever is troubling you.
Prophecy online from the.
Remember, tomorrow things may just be better. So keep hope alive.
We can never die. Billions are waiting for the mess.
Those of you who are in this joyous spirit at this time in terms of celebrating something or someone,
billions are hungry for the mess.
We join in your joy as well at Civic Vibes.
The truth of the Bible must reach every flesh. Who are the chosen? We are the chosen. Who are the children? We are the children. From Zion.
Brother Zed Lloyd, are you there? Can you hear me, Zed?
I hear you. Can you see me?
I'm seeing you. Yes, I'm seeing you and I'm hearing you. Let's see if we can make something out of this here before we make that all-important start, huh?
Billions are yearning for the message. This is the truth and the whole world confess. No more lie, no more disguise. Israelite rise, we open our eyes. Billions are waiting, trumpet sound. True children of Zion, we are found.
All right, let's go. Brother Zed Lloyd, good evening to you, my brother, and welcome. Are you hearing me? Are you there?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Let me Lofty, let me apologize. First of all, I'm totally not even really organized, but I forgot the time clock business. I'm on 6 o'clock America business, you know.
Well, I already did some sort of apology on your behalf, so at least they're aware. They're aware.
Yeah, I didn't get on my laptop, man. I apologize. Let's do what we gotta do. Good afternoon, brother. Thank you. Where's brother Alvin? Is he around?
Alvin is still out there somewhere. I guess he'll be back by next week. Alvin is a very, very busy man of late. Was in Dominica for some time, had to move across to St. Croix, St. Thomas to Little Rest. Brother Ted, Daly, yes. And so he will be back very, very soon.
Yeah, just I'm here. I'm a little not, but I'm here. Let's do this thing. Let's I apologize. I apologize. I was just gonna get a shower. I've been on the road, yeah. All right. So yeah, good evening to the listeners. Like we said, sorry for the late start, but yeah, I think it's gonna be worth it sitting with us and having a nice conversation. It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
indeed.
great.
Yeah, Zed, in private conversations, you and I have been speaking about something that occurred where you lived in terms of an election. As we get right into the meat and thick of things, leadership. That is the topic for the all with you this evening, brother Bernard Aline will be joining us sometime later and be chiming in some of his thoughts on there. But Zed, for people who may be looking on at this time who doesn't know Zed Lloyd from A to B, can you just give a brief, intro? Because we know that space, Zed, it's open to all and sundry.
That kind of topic we're going to do today. I don't know if I want to say too much now otherwise. But anyway, yeah, I'm Zed, Dominica, former math teacher, college dropout, presidential scholar, revolutionary in my own right, political activist, looking forward to come home and join the political activism because I think we need it. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's where you are. That's where you are. Zed, yes, thank you very much. I know, Zed, you're a very outspoken brother, as I said, a very passionate brother in whatever you believe in. You speak your mind, and so that is what that space is all about. Civic Vibes. Whenever we come here, we are a platform where people can speak their mind. Once you don't go ahead and defame or slander or anybody else, anybody in that regard, we allow persons to speak their mind. We have to agree to disagree sometimes and move on, but in the interest of learning from each other. And at the end of the day, Dominica, our country, is where we want to be and what we want to see move on in terms of the betterment of everyone in this blessed island. So Zed, in terms of the election in New York, where you presently reside, what can you tell us about that? Are you there? All right, I think Zed Lloyd dropped off, huh? Zed Lloyd dropped off. Folks, I apologize for Zed Lloyd dropping off the grid. Zed, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm there, but I'm not seeing you.
Yeah, it said a while ago your bandwidth is sort of
low.
But you are there now.
I didn't get to connect on my laptop. That's what it is. So I'm deleting some photos in the phone, I think that's what it is.
So do you want that time to go to your laptop? That's what you're saying or suggesting?
We're not going to be able to. Let's just do what we're doing. I'm just deleting some photos. I'm there with you.
Okay. All right. I was asking you basically about the election in New York of this brother who just got elected as a mayor for New York. Can you just give us, your opening remarks of that just concluded election? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Lofty, I think sometimes, something comes along that is just so like dramatic and important and potent in its whole context. And I think this election in New York City is one of those things. Its result resounds beyond the city. Mamdani is like a divine moment politically, where you need something that is going to come at the establishment, not necessarily at 180 degrees, because when you come at 180 degrees, you usually don't succeed. Mamdani, in a special kind of way, came at the system like at about 135 degrees, where you slide in, but you challenge in. And it worked. And it worked lovely because I think he brought a certain authenticness to the system, and people are missing that politically. There is no authenticism in politics anymore, very little. And I think Mamdani brought a level of authentic consciousness, spirituality, principle. And that kind of worked with New York City, because we're in this place in America right now where America is principleless. People are seeing through its cracks and its governance and the hypocrisy of governance, the hypocrisy of politicians, everything. It's all hypocritic mosaic is being exposed, and I think Mamdani brought and said, here is something authentic. Take a look at it and work with it. And that is what happened in New York City. So even when all these billionaires put all of these monies behind other candidates and the whole system and Donald Trump and everybody galvanized, you couldn't stop Mamdani because he came with an authentic and real political posture to the everyday man, the regular people in the street. And he's loved, and people expect a miracle because the country needs a miracle. The city needs a miracle. So it's a lot riding on him, but I think he's able to because he's authentic. He's authentic.
All right. As you on that point, he came across to you and many persons as being an authentic politician. Can you give us, one or two scenarios or setup where you, Zed Lloyd, saw that came through, that authenticity that you speak of?
Well, Lofty, some people come into, you see them only when they come to deal with an election. When they come to you too. Mamdani is before that. Mamdani was dealing with taxi rights. Mamdani was dealing with housing rights. All of these things, even before. You know what I'm saying? He was even on that trajectory. He came from he has empath. He has, he's an empath, in his natural way. He's an intellect, high intellect too. But he is involved in the community before politics. And a lot of times, that's one of the things that cripples people trying to get into politics, that they pay attention to the social construct only when they are ready to do politics. Mamdani didn't come to New York City, knew about Mamdani before he decided to run for mayorship. And his work is there. He was getting arrested. He was in protest. He was in challenges. He wasn't afraid to speak. He's an international poet too, very well read. And so people galvanized around that authenticity. He knows the history. He would talk about the Haitian issue. He would talk about other problems around the world. He spoke up on the Palestinian issue, which a lot of people are afraid to speak about. But the thing about it is that right now it's an asset to be speaking up on the Palestinian issue, an asset. And I think Mamdani rode that wave because he didn't just come at it. He's been authentically standing up for justice in Palestine. And that resonated with a lot of people in New York. It was also a problem. It created a problem for him because you have a lot of Zionist people who challenged him because they know Mamdani coming into power in New York City, a lot of things are going to change. A lot of conversations are going to become different. Conversations like divestment, which is critical, and other issues. So it was against him, but it was also an asset in these times because a lot of America is waking up to the realization that the proper moral posture is to be anti-Zionist.
So were you, Zed Lloyd, part and parcel of that of that election in any way, shape, or form?
Well, oh, please, I can't take no. I do protest. I do protest. I spread my flyers for Mamdani. You know what I'm saying? You have to support somebody like Mamdani because you see New York City is such a powerful city. When New York City does something, it sets a trend globally. And so when you look at the American landscape, the only chance we had of having an elected official who was coming direct and square, well, his brother in Chicago, this mayor in Chicago is a brother we need to look at too, he's deadly. But Mamdani came on the stage in New York City, which is Jewish town. New York State is a Jewish state. The biggest collection of Jews outside of Israel is in New York. You understand? When you have someone coming to be a mayor in New York, what is expected of you is you go to Israel, you go and you kneel at the wall and you pay your respects and you meet the Jewish leaders and you meet Netanyahu like Cuomo and all the other candidates did. And this brother stood on a platform in New York City and he said, I am going to look at New York, not Israel. I'm not running for politics in Israel. And that is earth-shattering for a New York politician to have that kind of gravitas to make that statement. And so right there when that statement was made, a lot of us just realized, yo, this brother is real. You know what I'm saying? So you find Brother Al Sharpton, you had all the revolutionaries, man, all the mobilizing movements, the unions, the teacher union, all these unions, they jumped on board because they realized, here's a brother talking about affordability. He had message to Lofty. Message is critical. A lot of times politicians do not realize your message. You know, it's either it inspires or it does not inspire. Mamdani's message was 100% inspirational. And I think I want to stay here for a minute, Lofty, to talk, to make it to the broader thing of ours and Dominica, because we want to connect that conversation globally, especially to the region. A lot of times people talk about, well, these guys have money and you can't beat them and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Listen, let me tell you something. The only thing that can beat money is inspirational leadership. Inspirational leadership. And that is what happened in New York. The money factor was muted. The Zionist factor was muted. Even right here, we have a lot of West Indians in New York City. And the numbers haven't come out. We have numbers for Jewish people about
that I realize, not tripping you there, I realize you on your phone, but can you just move that device so we can see all of you? Yeah, right. You were sort of
that's better.
Much better. Yes.
Yeah, like I tell you, I wasn't ready.
I understand that. We understand that. Yeah, but we just want to see more of you.
Go ahead. Lofty, 44% of Jewish people voted for Mamdani, Lofty. 44%. A candidate that is saying, I am going to challenge this situation in Palestine. 44%. Now, if you look at West Indian people, Lofty, we do not have the numbers in yet, but you will find a lot of West Indians did not vote for Mamdani because of the same religious context. These people are more Zionists than even Jews themselves. And a lot of times, we talk about the Zionist concept and we do not look at Christians. But the greatest percentage of human beings around the world who are Zionists are Christians, more than Jews. There's less Jews supporting Zionism than there are Christians who are Zionists. And they do not realize they're Zionists because they see it as a Jewish thing. But no, Zionism is the concept of supporting an Israel from a biblical perspective. That is what Zionism is. That it destroys all the logic of questioning because you are afraid that God has decided this and you're not going against God. And that is the dilemma with Christian Zionism. It cannot be reasoned because you are in a construct of fear and you are following an ancient dogma which has really no truth to it. So those things, and when you shift those kind of numbers in New York, white people, a large percentage of white folks voted for Mamdani, are Muslim, half Negroid, fully Negroid, really, Nigerian, Indian, mix, it's black people. So all the brother just break all the barriers, Lofty, and he broke it because of his inspirational leadership. And that is the message I want to leave to our politicians in the region, or politicians at home. That while you're talking about all this money and Roosevelt and money, what you can defeat Roosevelt's spirit with is inspirational leadership. That is what changes people's minds. We talked about Jamaica and we talked about how few people came to vote in Jamaica and why. Because there was no inspiration. Look at what happened in New York. The largest number of people since 1969 took part in a mayoral election. Record-breaking. Record-breaking. We've never seen that many people vote in New York since 1969. So the ebb and flow of involvement in politics has a lot to do with the inspirational capacity of the politician. And that is what New York reflects to us. And that is the message I hope that these people in the region can take. That you can defeat these dictators through message and through inspiration that can change people's hearts and people's minds. It's not just information. The presentation of how it is presented is critical. The gravitas that you bring into it, the conviction, the empathy, the topics, look at the issues of bread and butter, affordability, cheaper housing, minimization of cost of transportation for the people in the city. Just some fundamental issues that are at the heart of poor people right now in the city. A city that is skyrocketing out of control economically. This brother took the thing and he surgically dissected it and laid a platform. Yo, this brother is amazing, man. It's amazing. Amazing.
So Zed, you speak about inspirational leadership. I call it, or I coin it, effective leadership. How do you differentiate one from the other? Someone who can inspire and someone who can't.
Well, I think differentiation is simple. You know, a lot of people end up in politics by coincidence. They're not really politicians. You see, and it's very important, you know, that we understand that, you know, when you're a politician, you understand what the platform is. You understand the language. You understand the language of it's not a direct politics is not a direct philosophical endeavor. It's a meandering sort of philosophical endeavor. And when you're a politician, you understand that. A lot of times we have good people who come by, they have good intention, but the way they deliver the message is just information. It's not meandering. It's not being laid out in a cohesive sort of manner to develop a certain type of picture that the people can follow. They just come with, you know, information. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I think the art of it, when you are a politician, you have the art naturally. Mamdani is a politician. And he has one of the most critical things when you're a politician to succeed. He has empathy. He has empathy.
So let us juxtapose empathy, being authentic, likable, whatever it is, in terms of these attributes that you spoke of, against now the barrage of money in any campaign. How do you toss up the two and get the necessary result in terms of that will benefit the people?
Lofty, Bloomberg, Lofty, all them big man, Julian, all them man, Lofty, them man put all their millions together, you know, Lofty. Millions, you know, oh boy, that's no joke thing, you know. Millions, buy airtime, all kind of APAC, all them man. Attack the man, call him a communist, call him and you know what's funny about the whole socialist thing? Jewish people are the most socialist people in the world, you know. If you first study the history, and it's sad that we do not study as West Indian people, you know, these constructs of history. But when you study those things, you look at all the prominent socialists, they're all Jewish. You look at all the social civil movements, Jewish people. These people have been at the forefront of a lot of revolutionary processes and consciousness and new thinking, you know, Jewish people, you know. It's sad that this Israel thing has created this blot on Jewish culture. And it happened because you have Jewish converts come in and control Judaism and just destroy the authenticity of the religion, a very authentic religion. It is this European converts who has distorted Judaism. And so here you have them people coming and call his brother socialist, but Jews are voting for him because they themselves in themselves are of that kind of open-mindedness thing. They are more the collective. They are collective. They are a betterment for humanity. That has been their history. You know, like I say, that Israel thing just really just take the religion some other place, and these converts, not even authentic Semites, have just poisoned Judaism, you know. But when you come authentically, Judy, and I tell you, the authenticness is what it is, you know. You have to be authentic, because once you're authentic, the people are going to follow you. You know, once you're authentic. And so Mamdani is an authentic candidate. He doesn't mince words. He doesn't, you know, in a way come to make it look nice because he won't. No, he will not come at you and hit you in no arbitrary kind of way, but he will hit you diplomatically. And a lot of politicians do not have that capacity to hit you diplomatically. Real politicians know that strategy. And he's a real politician. And we can learn from him. As a student of politics, I admire Mamdani. Yeah.
Yeah. Zed, now I want you now to unpack the red versus the blue factor in that whole election process that just went on. See if you
Great question.
Yes, go ahead.
Great question, Lofty. Great question. And look at the blue and red factor globally, Lofty. Great question. Lofty, when you come to deal with these colors, you are not going to win addressing the colors. And I hope these politicians at home are listening. When you come to deal with these dynamics, you cannot win addressing these dynamics. You have to go to the issues that separate the people from these colors. And that's what Mamdani's thing is, a blueprint of how it works. He went to the issues that affect the people beyond that color of party. You understand? Like I told you, a lot of Democrats did not vote for Mamdani, not because his issues were not right. They were binded by religion, because he as a Muslim, and they presented Muslims as terrorists, and 9/11 and Israel, and he's standing up, he's not supporting. So those things, if Mamdani had not been an anti-Zionist, I'm telling you, Cuomo and these guys would have gotten 0 votes in New York City. You think this victory would have been a landslide? It would have been a total wipeout if he was not if he was pro-Israel and those establishment issues. Mamdani would have wiped out every one of these guys, but these guys would have gotten no votes. No votes. So the issue, Lofty, is you have to deal with the bread and butter of the people, bro, and leave that color thing behind. You know, you like Dominica, forget about attacking labor rights. You're not going to win. Find a way to discuss the issues that are real in the people's lives. When you deal with issues that are real in your lives, and you deal with it not just in propaganda, in solutions, because just talking about it thing and pointing it out doesn't get you anywhere. You have to have a cohesive policy of solutions to the problem for you to connect with the people. And that is what happened in New York City. People are feeling this thing, and this brother shifted his message to answer this thing. When a man like Shapton coming out and dumping Como and bypassing Martin and to go and check this Muslim brother, you have to know what's happening in New York. It's a new day. It's a new day. And I'm telling you, I'm happy I got to be in New York to experience this, to see a change. And even the international thing, Lofty, we have to address too, you know. Because you see,
yeah, Zed, can you just focus the camera a little more? Yeah, you're going off right. Yeah, very well.
Yeah,
you can just,
that phone business, man.
Yeah, if you can stay right there and deliver, we'll be on point.
That phone business, yeah. Lofty, I'm really sorry, I wasn't ready for you. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, look at the implications internationally. Lofty, in 1984, right? 85, 86, those times there I was involved in ANC marches in America on college campuses and the likes, you know, very involved in the Free South Africa movement. In fact, my school suffered because of that, you know. I spent more time in the struggle than going to classes. But what you had, right, from New York City, when we were looking like we just couldn't do it, right? New York City elected a black man, David Dinkins. You understand? Just like Mamdani, let's think is divine, you know. And David Dinkins came and said, listen, we are going to divest our money from South Africa. New York City. Big monies. And it wasn't, and what he did was he set up a chain reaction. After New York City made the move, other cities follow. Global things follow. London, everything. That was it. That was the end for South Africa. One move by a black man in New York City shifted the entire apartheid conversation internationally. Mamdani has that ability to employ that same capacity. Right now, when you look at America and American states and municipalities and cities, right, these people have about $3 to maybe $4 billion invested in Israel. Serious money. New York City alone and the state, New York and the state has about $750 million invested into Israel. New York City has sold out its bonds. They no longer support buying bonds from any foreign government, but there is still about another $400 million worth of investment in Israel. Now, when City Hall meets in January after this brother comes in and we start talking about divestment, that's problems for Israel, you know, Lofty. That's problems because when New York make that move, Finland make that move, this hedge fund make that move, that hedge fund make that move, Netanyahu, it's over. So there's a similarity between apartheid South Africa and the issue of divestment by a major city and the Zionist movement in Israel right now. And that is what created all this thing, why Trump and all these guys and all these Republicans, that's why they made that thing, because they realized, damn, we fucked up. We fucked up because this brother is coming straight up, right angle to us on this thing. He is going to challenge it, and the votes are there in the city. The votes are there. So it's very feasible because even the Jews who are in there are supporting this movement to neutralize Israel because what is going on over there is unjust. So a New York City election, once again, has the capacity to shift the global dynamic. And that's major. That's major. And I just wish the West Indians could jump on board and leave aside this biblical thing and start understanding what Israel really is and shift it from the Bible. Because this thing has nothing to do with the Bible. Absolutely nothing. Zero. And so if you see these West Indians come on board, the Haitians have come on board, the Haitians have supported Mamdani immensely. If you see these other West Indians can just join in New York City, ready to just shift capacity in terms globally. I'm telling you.
Marshall Lawrence is writing here. There are many who are drawn to the Democratic Party and those who no longer support this Trump administration. Chiquito Thomas writes, exactly, the United States operates differently. It's not about being loyal to any politician. Dominica, he says, have to change that kind of mindset. Any thoughts based on these writings?
Well, great contributions. But it comes back to what we were talking about, Lofty. The way towards that is inspirational leadership. Leave that color spectrum alone. You know, there's somebody asked me about Zed, boy, you going in politics, don't you know? And they were surprised. I tell them, no, I'm not going into politics. I'm coming home, Lofty. But I'm coming to raise Dominica's civic consciousness. I want to deal with man like you and Senior and whatever. We need to put something together to forget about politics. Forget about politics. Because when you go the political route, it is the weakest route. Because the politics is so, we have to redevelop the civic consciousness of the country. That is what is dead. It's dead. There's an absence of civic strength amongst the people, and you cannot build it by being on green and blue and red and blue and green, and it cannot work. You have to come from a capacity of what is important to the people, their bread and butter, their poverty, their absence of jobs. You know, look at the construction industry in Dominica. Nobody, there's an entire movement waiting to happen among young people on the whole issue of construction, because Dominicans are not being given their fair share of value in the construction industry in the country. You understand? And so without us, if we had a proper civic movement, man, we shut down some of these jobs. All that airport would have to hire a couple more hundred people. You understand? So there is an absence of, everybody's politics, leave politics alone, man. Leave politics alone. The country is too polarized to develop a movement politically. We have to develop a civic movement, re-empower the people, and then we can deal with this. Because I am convinced the removal of Roosevelt's spirit is not a political occasion. It is a civil occasion.
Mm-hmm. All right.
A civil occasion.
Yeah, Zed, this conversation, as I said in the opening, it is about people speaking their mind, and sometime in life we have to agree to disagree. And yeah, so I really don't want the conversation now to end up, based on what I'm going to ask you or punch at you now based on a caller or writer, into this really just kind of conversation. But you know, let everybody ideas contend. This person, Glenda Irish, is saying here, so Lofty, you letting Zed Lloyd tell us we are wrong to fear God. Zed, I need you to respond to Irish in terms of her comments here.
I don't know where Glenda Irish got this. I don't know where she got this, but
did you categorically ask Christians not to fear their God?
Well, Lofty, listen, I personally, I have no need to fear God, because God is love. God is love. And before the Romans induced the fear of God in religion, people were not about fearing God. People were about loving God. And I'm glad this question is asked. And that is what is the issue that is neutralizing Christianity. People are afraid to deal with God logically. They are afraid to question things. They are afraid to study things that will contradict what they believe, because they fear God. But they need to understand, God did not write these things. We come into God, Lofty, from a premise of faith. We do not come onto God from a premise of fact. And the Christian needs to, and Irish needs to understand that. We come into God from a premise of faith. The only religion that factualizes God is Roman Christianity. And I won't go into the reason why it will, because I'm telling you, it's fire that will burn. But the only religion that made God factual is Roman Christianity. Why? Every other religion has treated God as spirit, unknown, omnipotent. The only religion that made God a factual entity is Roman Christianity. And the reason why God was made a factual entity was to create a son of God, not a daughter, a son of God. You understand? So when Irish talks about, I have no need to fear God, Irish. I've chosen Christ consciousness. I have taken my Nazarene vow, just to make it clear to you, so you know who you're talking to.
And Zed, I am assuming here that the fear that she spoke of is talking about, or it boils back to loving God and not really fearing him to the extent of, you know, that sort of
Lofty, the fear,
as it were.
Lofty, the fear affects decision making. The fear affects righteousness, because people are afraid to stand up against certain things because they think God has condoned it. I heard Pastor Rodney about a month ago came on a program on Q. Oh my God, that was so pathetic. I'm still traumatized by that. To see a brother who has just gotten a PhD, you know, a PhD, you know, where you deal with facts and you assess things and you do analysis. And Pastor Rodney came on the radio and he justified what is happening over there as God allowing it, making God an illogical thing. Look at the creation, Lofty. The creation
is where justifying what, where?
On Q95. On Q95. An
justifying what? Where? Where was
the what is going on in Palestine that we cannot question is God that know what God doing for a reason. Lofty, the entire creation is logical. If the entire creation is a logical process, the creator must be logical. You coming to present the creator as an illogical thing to justify your fact. And that is the problem, Lofty.
All right, Zed Lloyd, let's just, I don't want to cut you off on that point, but let's just rework the conversation, send it back into the direction where we were. Nep Packet is saying here, nice in terms of your contribution so far. He's asking that all important question to use it. How does one truly inspire this movement if, he says here, the people are not inclined or willing to be inspired?
That is not true. That is not true, Lofty. That is not true. That is not true. That is very, listen, Lofty, let me tell you now. You forget, what was it, 2014, all them time. Remember people were ready to go on the airport and close it down? You remember, Lofty?
Mm-hmm.
Lofty, remember?
Yeah, I remember the talk of that. Yes, I remember the talk.
You remember how much people was ready to stand up in Dominica? And why they didn't stand up? Because the leadership did not have the capacity to follow through on what it was needed to be done. So this thing about Dominicans and lack of, no man, people everywhere are able to be inspired. The problem I tell you in Dominica, Lofty, is everybody coming to this thing for politics. Everybody seeing themselves as a politician first. See yourself as a member of the people and the cause and the need of the people. Stop thinking you have to join a political party for you to represent Dominica and your people. You do not need to join a political party for you to create transformation in Dominica. You understand? People, you have to define, but people think, well, you must come now, you must be a politician, you must nominate to a party for you to can make a change. That's garbage. So that's the first thing we need to be clear on. So
on that point, Guvel Mahambrin is writing here, the government and political structure in Dominica is different to what obtains in America. A voter, that person writes, can vote ideologically in America and the government still functions effectively. However, it cannot happen in Dominica and in the Caribbean. It requires political alignment.
Well, here's the thing. Let me answer Guvel Mahambrin. For you to create a governmental structure that is going to be cohesive and accepting of those things that Guvel Mahambrin talks about, you must have transformation. You do not have to transform that government politically for you to create transformational governance. That is the issue. If you transform the people instead of the political structure, the people will deal with the politicians without even going to an election. Without even going to an election, they will transform the governance. You understand? Once government has become arbitrary and excessive and dictatorial, they have given you the platform, that justifies you mobilizing the people differently, to create a solution, And it's not about violence, I love you to talk about violence. When you see Lofty, you see Palestine, and I'm going to give you a contradiction. You know why Palestine is making a change in the world right now to people? Because the man them stop going and blow up planes. The man them stop. The man them fighting the battle now. Martin Luther thing, non-violence. Anytime things get too excessive, too empowered, police get too arbitrary, too strong, too destructive, the best solution for you is to mobilize the people peacefully. But I studied the nonviolent movement. The power in the nonviolent movement is that whenever your struggle has become so excessive against you, it makes no sense to fight it anymore. You have to resist it differently through nonviolence. Because what that does is it creates people to support your movement. It enhances your capacity to support. It enhances you outside of your support base. And eventually that government will fall, or whatever you're up against. And that is what has happened in Palestine. If these guys had kept blowing up planes and hijacking things and whatever, the world would not be in such a caring place for Palestine. Whenever struggle gets too hard on you, like how Dominica is scared with all his money and the police starting to come like this military on people, I'm telling you, the best thing we need right now is a non-violent movement in Dominica. The best thing, a non-violent movement. It will mobilize the people. The people will know you're not about war. They will know you're not about destruction. And it starts small, but you will see numbers build. We talk about bouillon and partying. Let us start having some non-violent parties. You have to find ways around the system within its own context. You know, let's start having civil revolutionary parties peacefully. Let us build. And at some point, when the bill gets so big that not even the police can stop it. I was watching the match the other day. Lofty, what's the biggest employment in Dominica? Police. Every few months, all you see is more and more police. You think this is about national development? This is not national development. This is not about Dominica. You know. This is about these guys realize that what they have done to Dominica, backlash is coming. And so all they're doing is spending the state money, employing more and more police, training them by the Chinese to be militaristic and challenge the people. You cannot go and challenge them with guns. You're not going to win because you're going to play into their hands. What we have to develop is a non-violent movement in the country, and we'll neutralize that madness. That is what we have to develop. And there comes the civic capacity, not a political capacity, the civic capacity.
All right, Peter Carbon is sure in agreement with your thoughts here. He says Z is right. Dominica needs a social movement, not a political movement. 79, he says, was a social movement. The problem is that there are leaders in civil society. Let me get back to that. He says that the problem is that there are no leaders in civil society, and the people expect the political leaders to create that movement. But we see the backlash. We see the backlash, it says, from the law enforcement.
100. Perfectly said.
Nep Packet is writing here, I agree. Transformation does not always happen through politics. My questions aligns more with the fact that the people themselves have embraced the status quo. I agree that inspiring the people is the way forward. My issue, he says, is with the how in the context of the intellectual material that leaders have to deal with. Not making any excuses. I'm just playing, he says, devil's advocate to extend the conversation. So Nep wants to hear from you more of the how do you, as a leader, inspire a people that may not be that inclined to be inspired at this time.
Lofty, we have become a radio hour people. You understand? A radio hour people, because we do not have a civic movement that is cohesive around cause. What we have is like a movement. Nothing ever stops and builds. So the topic today is this, and noise, and then it moves, and it's the next thing. But there is no group of people that are taking a cohesive approach to a particular context and developing it. That is what is missing. Understand? So there is not a cohesive development of topic or cause or mantra. You know, it just keeps moving. So there's never a build. You understand? So when we get off that radio concept of struggle, we will get back to what we need to do. It's the radio concept of struggle that is our biggest liability in Dominica right now. We We leave the issues, we move, we just keep running, and bragging and running and bragging. But we do not put any resources and time and contextual development of a particular kind of protocol to address the cause that we're supposed to focus and address on. That's why I tell man, I don't want to come Dominica and be in politics. We need a civic movement, and that's what I pledge in myself to do. We have to put people that are disrespected in the country, bro. The people have no value. They don't get service. Nobody's tying up for them. You know what I'm saying? But if you come with the politics, you can't catch them. You have to come with the issues, bro. Different thing. We need to bring back value to Dominicans. Foreigners are giving too much value against us in this country. And we just need a collective of people that we can come together, sit around a table, and organize a proper organization and develop this thing. I tell you, believe you me, I've been studying history of struggle my entire life. You know what I'm saying? And it always works. It always works. That is what we have to do.
Someone is throwing here the aspect of slavery into the conversation. Is the situation we went through as a people on the hardship as slaves, does that have any bearing to where we are today? Do you think so?
Well, Lofty, first of all, when we look at colonized people, the region, this idea that we're free from slavery is a fallacy, you know. It's a fallacy. The chains have been taken out, but we have not addressed the different stratas of enslavement. And Sister Irish came at me a while ago about the whole God issue and that's why I'm critical, sister, because God is being used against us to enslave us. The fear of God doctrine is an enslavement of us by using God. The waiting on God is, you talk about the Jews, Lofty, and I'm going to make this contrast so we can really see. If you say it wasn't for that mad nonsense of Israel and like I say, it's not even Semitic people, you know, it's these converts that come and destroy Judaism. If you say that blot of Israel was not on Jewish faith, bro, you would understand why these people are so empowered in a mental sort of sense, because they are of faith in the original ancient understanding of faith, which is God is inspiration. Human beings have to do God for that faith to be alive. And the Christian is not brought up in that understanding. The Christian is waiting on God to come. I don't know where God is coming from, because all of us know he's within. You know what I'm saying? But he's waiting on God to come and solve his problems. So that is part of the enslavement. So spiritually, we are still enslaved because we have been taught religion and God through a psychotic process. That's why the fear thing is a problem. The fear was introduced as part of our enslavement. Spiritually, we are people of love. God is love. And we need to come back to God is love. We need to come back to God is love, because when we come back to God is love, we'll start looking at God more logically. We'll start questioning that Bible logically, because we'll understand God did not write that Bible. And so some fundamental things that we have to come into our mind, and coming to them is not atheistic. People think they call you an atheist. I'm an African, but I cannot be atheist. We are God people.
So that finally, before we take that break, there's a part in the Bible that you quote in there that talk about faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence do not sin. How would you put that part based on the factual aspect you're talking about? Just tie that in before we take that break.
Well, the hope, Pat Lofty, the hope is on us. We are waiting for Jesus to come, but it's we that have to create the return of Jesus. So that is the part, and that's what the Romans did. They took all the empowerment of the Christ out of you and they sent it somewhere else, so you are disempowered. That's why I tell you we are still enslaved, because the spiritual strata of our enslavement is still alive. Because we do not think empowered. We always begging God. We always asking God, when are we doing for God, Lofty? Show me an empowered Christian. Show me an empowered Christian. Every morning you wake up, you begging God. No matter what you have, $1 million job, call them, see what you doing for God.
Good question, Zed. Time to take a break.
Long time, but the truth done show now. Oh.
Millions are waiting for the message, huh?
Zion children rise. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken. Black man, native man with a holy tribe. But colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Ain't just black, prophets black, the history clear. But Babylon system cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the
I tell ya.
Oh, oh.
Politics and religion, huh?
Yeah, man.
Let's take it from the very top, from this sister here, right here.
Respect.
Politics and religion, huh? It's like oil and water.
Long time, but the truth done show now. Oh, Israelite right, Zion children right. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken. Black man, native man with a holy tribe. But colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Ain't just black, prophets black, the history clear. But Babylon system cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousand they cry for the message. Hey, hey.
Sandra Shillingford is writing here, mentally we are not free of slavery. All we are free is of the chains.
From Jerusalem to
Edna Ernest writes, true say, brother said Lloyd.
In slavery, change our names, put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End up.
Folks, we are midway.
Our line from the ghetto to
very interesting conversation thus far with the brother man Zed Lloyd.
We can never die. Billions are waiting for the man.
I told you guys from the start.
Oh, oh, thousand.
A very passionate brother. He speaks his mind. And yes, whatever he believes in, he will hear it coming across loud and clear.
The Bible must reach every flesh. Chosen, we are the chosen.
Are you a chosen one?
We are the children from Zion, from Judah.
Are you a Zionist?
We rise. Millions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, using that thirsty.
Folks, it is 5 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, not just in Dominica, but in the region in which we live.
Hey, my people, listen.
And so we have brother Bernard Aline on standby as we're about to just fuse two topics together. The one brother Zed Lloyd is on as we speak.
We be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken.
And some of the things that are still affecting we in this confirmation process in Dominica.
Kill the vibe, ain't just black prophets.
So brother Bernard Aline,
Babylon system cover it.
Will share some thoughts with us, huh?
Louder the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for.
Brother John Blanchard, you're locked, my brother. Good evening to you and the family.
Thousand they cry for the message. Hey, hey.
Claralyn Warrington, good evening to you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of you locked at this time.
Don't bless.
If, just in case, if you want to share your thoughts, the numbers across your screen at this time, these are the numbers to call into the program.
Our names put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy.
We have to agree to disagree and move on, huh?
Testify, Israelite right.
The God that we speak of, the very God that we speak of.
Message. Oh, oh, thousand they cry for the message.
The very God that we believe in.
Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. The truth of the Bible must reach.
He too gave us a variety, huh?
Who are the chosen?
So yes, just that fact, he's not a one-track God.
From Zion, from Judah.
He gave us male and female, it is said. And a lot of other varieties out there
for the message.
To choose from, that is.
Using that thirsty for the message.
So why put him in that box? That straight box.
Yeah, yeah. This is the truth and the whole world confess. No more lie, no more disguise. Israelite rise, we open our eyes.
That will save us a whole lot of problems as we're moving on in this life. Brother Ferdinand Lawrence right here before we get back to the break. When a king sits down, his work is done. Jesus, he says, sits at the right hand of the Father. Zed is absolutely correct. We are the ones who have to carry out the will of the Father on earth. Christians, he says, are too lazy and are hiding the laziness behind faith. It's time to do the work of the Father on or in the earth.
Clear, but Babylon system cover it.
Joseph Henry says the message is clear for all to respect, brother.
Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for.
Marshall Lawrence, right? We need a mind shift and work with God. And
yes,
he lives.
Yes.
This conversation is turning out to be quite a theological one, huh?
Yeah. This is the truth where the prophet don't bless. From Jerusalem to Africa, they scatter. We to the islands to the west in slavery. Change our names, put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy online. From the ghetto to the village, we testify. Israelites.
A very conscious sister doing this number. Billions are waiting for the message. Brother Bernard Aline, good evening to you, my brother. How are you?
Yes.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to your listeners. I hope
you can
hear
me. Good evening, brother. We're hearing you.
You hear me? Okay.
Brother Aline, you came in a very, very fiery situation. I hope you have your fire truck where you are. Huh?
Well, brother, man, I can't follow in Zed's footsteps here. Zed will leave me standing and I'll feel like I'm reversing.
So, brother Aline, how is it? How are things?
Well, I'm here in the cold listening. Concerned about.
How is the health?
Holding on, brother, man. Holding on.
Man. Give thanks.
Yeah, everything going well.
Give thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just a bit concerned about, issues at home and how are we looking at the issues and understanding them. Are we understanding them fully so that we can tackle them directly? Or are we sort of confiding in the hope that we have that everything will be done in good faith? I am of the view that is a dangerous stance to take. I think that every single move in Dominica today is on the part of the persons who govern us is calculated. We haven't been hearing much about the help that they have been getting that was very open in the past from the Bajan brethren and from, a certain Kitishan of Chinese descent and other foreign actors who were apparently on the pay list and assisting in image, and we haven't been hearing much of that. But I think we probably still have a lot of that in the background, and we need to take every single move seriously and try to understand fully what is happening.
All right. Brother Aline, just before you get into some of your contributions very first tonight, I know you have been listening to the conversation prior with Zed Lloyd. First question of the battle. What did you say about Dominica? You're Dominican, you're living out there, but I know your heart is in Dominica. In terms of authentic or effective leaders or leadership in Dominica, do we have those type of leaders in Dominica? And if so, if yes, where are they? If not, why not? Your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I have to admit, Lofty, that I haven't been to listen to Zed's contribution because I've had a bit of a busy day today. And I was trying to sort of jot down a few points in preparation for having to face you. But in terms of leadership at home, I think the question of leadership has changed quite a lot, both in Dominica and in the Caribbean region. Um, I think we now have a situation where most of our leaders in the Caribbean now are very intent on ensuring their longevity, and in protecting their own interests over and above that of the nations that they represent. And I also believe that geopolitics is affecting our region in a very quiet but powerful way. Um, I am of the view, in light of the fact that most, if not all, of the regional governments seem to be run by Labour Party organizations, and they all seem to be working with each other, visiting each other's conferences when conferences take place. In the case of Dominica, after 11 or 12 years, there was a conference all of a sudden that turned out to be something that wasn't a conference at all. Delegates conference, but it was visited by the Grenadian leader and the St. Lucian leader in order to prop up Roosevelt's,
But Bernard,
leadership in Dominica.
to you and to someone who is not in that vein or that frame, may say that is something bad. But to these people, in terms of their uniting their efforts together, they will tell you straight up it's a good thing.
Well, it would be a good thing if it meant Caribbean unity. But I don't think that's why I say we as citizens of the Caribbean islands need to be a lot more active in our scrutiny of our leaders, and in our observations of their actions, and understanding what exactly it is that they're up to. Because I am of the view that these political parties are all part of a network that may very well be supported by certain international actors, financially and otherwise, in order to maintain their positions in power, so as to forward the agenda of whoever it is who may be funding and supporting them. So that's just my view.
Yeah, Bernard, let's be very a little bit more practical now. Let us look at Dominica. I took note that you sort of regionalized the answer that you give. Let us look at Dominica, your country of birth. Based on the leaders that we have had governing us in this country, any one of them stood out or is standing out so far in terms of that effectiveness or that authenticness that Zed spoke of before?
Are you speaking of them? You're speaking of leaders, political leaders today?
Political leaders primarily, yeah. It's a political conversation we're having, yes. Which of the leaders stood out to you, Bernard, in terms of their effectiveness?
Well, I mean, I think you're putting me on a spot there, but I think that there are certain persons who were very involved politically, who seem to have withdrawn, and their voices were very important and very powerful in the political arena. And they are now very quiet, and I think it's time for them to come back in and speak, because you don't have to be a political leader for you to express your opinion on what's happening in your country. And if what's happening in your country is affecting your country and its people in a very destructive way, and you see that they're going down a road that is very dangerous for the future of our nation. If you decide to pull back from political leadership, that's one thing. But as a citizen, I think we all have the responsibility to speak out. And with persons such as, Mr. Linton, for example, I miss his voice, and I believe that persons such as himself, with the intelligence and the ability, the articulation that he has, that even if he's no longer considered to be, or doesn't consider himself to be, a political leader, I think he should remain as part of the conversation, because his voice is very influential, very necessary, very powerful.
Yeah. Zed, just to bring you into the fray now, the very same question posed to Bernard earlier in terms of you're Dominican, Zed. You have been out there living, but your heart is in Dominica. Any of these political leaders, Zed, stood out to you in terms of the effectiveness where policies and the Dominican people are concerned?
I think, Lofty, what is limiting all these brothers, and hopefully we need to start seeing some sisters. I hope people like Liz and some of these influential sisters and judges and whatever, we need to start calling them out to get involved. We need some women. I think what is limiting all of these capacities is they're encircling themselves politically. And I come back to the beginning of my conversation. We have to circle ourselves in a civic capacity. You see, because it doesn't matter whether you're in politics or not. If the empathy aligns with the people and the conditions of the people bother you, whether you are a political leader, in a political party or not in a political party, you are supposed to be in the movement to change and give the conditions of your people a better posture and a better presentation. So I don't want to get in the politics thing too much about the conversation, Lofty, because it is the politics that is limiting these brothers and sisters. It is the politics. If we get into the capacity of citizenry and patrioticness and doing for country, we do not need to be in any of these capacities.
Yeah, but Zed, you started off on two solid pillars: the authenticity of leaders, the effectiveness rather of leaders. So I'm asking you, Zed, in your mind, are there any people like that in Dominica who could, quote unquote, woo the crowd, woo the people, get the people inspired?
I think those people are there, but like I tell you, they're coming to struggle on a political understanding. If they come in to struggle from that posture of citizenry, patrioticness, I think they will be a lot more effective.
Okay, point taken.
In moving Dominica forward.
Point taken. All right, Dr. Cleon Atil out of Antigua and Barbuda, you are there with us tonight, a very powerful woman in Antigua. Good evening to you. She says here, I agree. Partisan politics is the death of us right across the region. Yes, Cleon, we'll have a conversation sometime soon. Thank you very much for that very, very
Thank you, sis.
point. Yeah. She says partisan politics is the death of us right across the region. So Zed, she's agreeing with you 110%.
Lofty, I'd like to agree with him as well, by using the fact that, for example, we have a young group in Dominica that was very active and very effective, I think, in their activities some months back, and that is Moonsewie. And these guys have been trying their best to put forward the idea of the independent representative who is detached from the political fray, because they believe exactly that the politics of party has been, detrimental to our representation. I will agree with that to a certain extent, although I am not a party person at all at heart, because I do believe that the concentration on party politics does bring division. You start to push your political party agenda more than you start pushing the national agenda, and then everybody loses. But where I would sort of be a little tempered is in the reality that even if you go up as independents, even if you have 21 independent individuals going up and offering that independence, if 15 of them, or majority of them, win, in order to form a government, they're going to have to form some sort of unified force that would be similar to a political party. And so I think the organized part of political parties can be a good thing, a necessary thing. But I certainly think that we need to try to ensure that the focus is on the forward movement of the nation before we push the political agenda of political parties. And so being, as Zed says, being someone who is contributing on the basis of their citizenship and their civic duties is more necessary at this time to make that change.
But guys, we would well agree that the mindset of our people, not just in Dominica but in the region now, there's this party thing that has been instilled in our mind. And so you hear people talking about my party. They own a party. They say it's my party. And sometimes when you hear these people speak, it's like if the party says to jump, all they will ask is how high. If the party says to run, is how fast, and they will do whatever their party says to do. And so how do we now get that sort of instilling, distilled out of these people's mind? How do we start to go around that, Zed? You talk about the civic consciousness, yes, but how do we combat that?
Lofty, revolutionary process says one fundamental thing. You assess the issue, you look at the dynamics, you study them, and you create a solution based on the reality. And it's because of that very reality that you just stated that makes it necessary that we take the approach I am talking about. You see, because for us to break that cycle, we have to start different. So yes, time is part of the process of change. That's another thing that the Caribbean people, politically just don't seem to understand. Time is a critical aspect of solution. If you're not willing to put in time to create solution, to transform, you are not going to transform anything. So for us to break that cycle, we cannot come at it politically. If you're telling me you're a party, you think I can come and win you by talking party? I cannot win you. So the very dynamic that exists makes it necessary that we take a different approach. And that is the whole revolutionary process, the whole dialectical analysis that is necessary in the situation. It's not just you come up with a solution. You have to look at the dynamics, the reality, and shape a solution for the reality that is on the ground. And the partisan reality that is on the ground makes it necessary for us to come with a different approach, a patriotic approach, a civic approach, a citizenry approach. It's not optional anymore. It's necessary.
Yeah. Bernard, as we thank you, Zed. As we're about to move into the confirmation aspect of the confirmation process, rather, that we have now as law in Dominica. There are some people who are for, there are some people who are against the confirmation process. Anything in there, Bernard, you'd want to highlight in terms of some of your thoughts as we're moving on?
Yes. Well, I raised an issue earlier in the week just because, it just came to mind as I listened to certain conversations on the radio. I believe, first of all, that the removal of the birth certificate on the part of the Electoral Commission through a decision made by certain members of the hierarchy in that organization who hold a majority It was wrong.
Just stick a pin there, stick a little pin here. Let me just retract by saying because for people like Cleon and others who may be on the live feed and don't know or cannot link up with what you are going to say now, let me just sort of, set the foundation for the conversation we're having now. Well, Dominica has been at this crossroads for free and fair elections for umpteen years now. So after much dialogue, much debate, much protest action, much abuse, much everything, in March of this year, the 19th, I believe, of March this year, the government went to Parliament and passed as a law a process they call the confirmation process. The people of Dominica, by and large, wanted what we called a re-registration process, in that, we are suggesting to the government, the powers that be, that we need to start afresh, start clean in terms of making that process much freer and fairer. But the government had their way, and so we are now, as law, we have on our hand now what we call the process, the confirmation process. So basically it is, that process is whereby that very bloated list that we have in Dominica, the law is saying now that persons who are on that list, if they want to remain on that list, they have to come with certain forms of ID, namely a passport or a driver's license or a social security card, present that ID and order whatever documents to an enrollment officer in their constituency and have their name be confirmed on that list. Yes, I am Loftus Girard. I am saying that I want my name to stay on that list. And so that is the process now for Cleon and others that we have now to go through 15 months, I believe, to get that sort of confirmation process up and running in an effort to try to make our electoral process freer and fairer. So that in a nutshell is what it is, with other regulations and other scenarios that go with that process. So what Bernard is about to talk about now, it is some of the things that may still be affecting the citizenry by and large as it pertains to that process that I just crunched. Yes, Bernard, sorry about that.
That's okay. Lofty, there's a lot that can be said about the process that we have now engaged in. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of concerns, and this is why I said at the very beginning that I think we Dominicans have to really concentrate, listen, understand what it is that is happening so that we can then respond to it. The confirmation process, after years of fighting this battle, the confirmation process was that which was decided upon by a government that holds a majority in Parliament of how much? 19 to 3? 19 to 2, 19 to 2. Mm-hmm. Right.
21.
Right. The 19 persons who represent the incumbent. Roosevelt was chosen by everybody to be the leader. The rest of them were chosen by him, nobody else, right? He decided that these would be the representatives for each of the constituencies, put them in, and people voted for them based on the fact that they were, representatives of the incumbent government, which they support. The opposition decided not to partake, and so had no representation there. So basically, I'm starting from this point because it means that the 18 persons other than him were chosen by him, not by the people. That's number one. Then you now have a process of confirmation which was decided in Parliament and put into law by these 19 persons, okay, who were chosen all by him. So they are effectively pushing his agenda. So we must scrutinize that which they are now implementing. So now we have the process start. The process started on the 15th of October, right in the heart of the Creole Festival. There has been all sorts of talk that persons who are coming from overseas are being assisted with getting documentation, etc., by the government in order that they are ready for that confirmation process. At the same time that this is supposedly happening, you have had a situation where the commission had a meeting on a Monday. And at that meeting, according to two members of the commission, it was decided that the commission would have a press conference the following Tuesday, the following week on a Tuesday. They ended that meeting with that understanding. The following day, the Tuesday, the next day, the head of the commission, who had never spoken publicly before that day, other than on the day when he accepted his ascension to the position of commissioner, chief commissioner of the commission, had never spoken on any matters related to the whole discussion electoral reform. Went and had a press conference in a small room at the electoral office without the knowledge of at least two of the commission members, who were under the impression that the press conference would have been the following week, the following Tuesday. He went and had that press conference himself, the chief elections officer, who many suspect has been handpicked, and a communications person, and possibly two members of the press. Many members of the press were not aware that this thing was taking place. Now, people need to look into that particular press conference and form their own ideas based on what they hear, because much was discovered from what was said in that press conference. But one of the things that was asked of the chief elections officer, the head of the commission, was a question as to the calling of elections by the prime minister within the period of confirmation. It is an understanding that the prime minister has the right to do that. What will happen in the event that he does that? His response was, well, we haven't really discussed it and so on and so forth. I'm paraphrasing, yeah? We haven't really discussed it. But if the prime minister does that, something that he has a right to do under the constitution, well, I guess everybody we'll have to go up a gear, we'll have to fall in line, and we'll have to get it done. End of story, right? Good. Now, in light of that, let's follow up a little on what's going on here now. You have him making a decision on that day when he had that press conference, made a statement that the birth certificate would no longer be used. A decision that supposedly was taken on the part of the hierarchy of the commission. When he was asked why is it that you guys have been advertising that Dominicans who have a right to a birth certificate, the cheapest form of documentation that they can get to prove their identity, why is it that you are now turning down their right to utilize that as part of their identification? He said that it would be too much paperwork. That was his reason, right? Good. So that is no longer something that you can utilize. So now you have to have either a passport that is valid, a driver's license that is valid, or a social security card that is valid. Many Dominicans don't have a passport, cannot afford it, have never traveled, may never ever travel, may never need to have a passport. Many Dominicans don't have a driver's license, never had one, may never ever have one, may never need to get one, right? So what's left? Social security card. I am not sure whether the social security card is something that we are all entitled to. I believe it may be something that you're entitled to based on whether or not you're making contributions to Social Security, and that may be something that you don't do if you don't earn enough money to do it. I'm not sure. I'd have to get clarification on that. But these are the three pieces of documentation. So,
Bernard, on your last point, to read the Social Security card, just to strengthen that point, you are absolutely correct on that. in that I can speak for myself in terms of an experience. I did not have, sorry, I did not have in my possession a social security card for a number of years. And so I think about 3 months ago, I decided not being part of that confirmation process. I just decided to go to get that social security card so that my business can be back up on track and paying whatever dues to the scheme and whatever it is. And here it is. I was informed by the agent at the security division dealing with me. The card is not a right for everybody to have. You must be a contributor to the scheme in order to be a holder of the card. So you are spot on. And in order for me to have gotten that card, that social security card, I had to pay more than $1,000 something to get that card, because when they backdate where I stop off my payments and whatever it is. So I say all that to say, having us or obtaining a social security card, it is by no means cheap for the ordinary
financially
people to get that card.
Lofty, Bernard, Lofty, could you allow me?
Yes.
Bernard, Lofty, first of all, that birth certificate thing, Lofty, we should just take that to the court. That is an easy win. That's like basic. We talk about the conversation. We're always talking about it in terms of these politicians and Roosevelt and the government. We need to talk about the conversation from about us as citizenry and our rights and our empowerment. Mm-hmm. We should take that. Right. There's no country should anybody delegitimize your birth paper, bro. That's madness.
Well said. What I can tell you based on conversations that I've heard and talk I've heard, then that angle is been looked at, and most likely they will have some kind of legal.
Yeah, man, that's an easy shutdown, man. That's an easy victory.
So Zed, in the interest of time, because I want us to be clear on right down to the end, right? So, in terms of the passport, it's restrictive based on the cost. Driver's license, same thing, and whether or not you need a driver's license. And now the cost of the social security card. So the easiest to get, the cheapest to get, that which you are entitled to from your day of birth is your birth paper.
Yeah, man. Right? Yeah, man. That's an easy win.
So that excuse of it being too much paperwork is absolute nonsense.
Yeah, man. That's an easy win.
That makes me question.
Go ahead.
That makes me question the independence of the head of the commission, because first of all, you went and you called that press conference secretively. The intention was to have it a week later.
Like that.
You had it the day after. You had your meeting where you agreed to have this thing in a week's time, and in that, you are saying that you're removing. You have decided as head of the commission in a vote where you'd have two other people vote with you, presumably, two lawyers, all three of you passport selling agents on behalf of the government of Dominica. Three of you would have been the ones, presumably, would have voted in agreement that this should be removed as a means of proof of citizenship, right? So,
a matter of fact, Bernard, just to step in there a bit, the birth paper, it is so crucial, it is so critical in that when a mother gives birth to a child at the hospital, the first thing that mother is encouraged to do, it is to register that child. Unless that child's name, him or her, is not entered into the system with a name, date of birth, child's mother, father, whatever it is, that person is not yet, although you're alive and well as a child, but you are not yet counted as a citizen of the country. It's only when you are entered in the system.
Exactly. So it is your first
form of ID.
Exactly. Right.
That you're alive and well. And not just that, to back up the point, that birth certificate, you need that birth certificate, as someone said the other day, to get a passport.
Right.
You need that birth certificate to do a number of other things, including Bernard and Zed and the listening public. to become a newly elected elector, that was the form of ID, or that is rather the form of ID that is required to become a registered voter for the first time, is a birth certificate. So why now you are just now trying to confirm somebody's name on the list, that fundamental document that was used or is being used to put you on the list in the first place is not now being considered or omitted from the process? That is a level of madness.
Right. So, Lofty, I'm going to move on now so that we don't lose the points that I wish to emphasize here. So, firstly, I want Dominicans to understand that this is how it affects them, each one of them individually. The fact that this birth paper issue, the birth paper is no longer something that you can utilize when it is the cheapest form of ID and the most original form of ID that you could have. And you've been deprived of the right to utilize that, and you're being told to utilize other documents that you may not need at all, or you may not have at all, right? That's number one. Then it is my understanding, so that cuts out a large portion of our Dominican people who would be able to use a birth certificate in order for them to confirm their names on a list, a new list, keep their names on that list. Then you have, I understand, an instruction from the commission to the registration officers, the persons who register names to go onto a voter's list, new names, that those persons have been told to stop registering new electors, contrary to law, the law that requires that the registration of electors is a continuous process. They have been instructed to set that aside, ignore that law, stop registering new persons. Why? Because the emphasis seems to be on the confirmation process. So it is more important for us to conduct the business of the confirmation process and confirm the names of those who have lived in the diaspora, many of them for 20 and 30 years, many of them who haven't visited Dominica in many years. But because they support the government, we must confirm their names on that list and ensure that their names remain on a list to vote in any election from that point on. Right? So that is the emphasis. When the law says that the emphasis must be on continuous registration. So presumably, if that is in fact the case, and I'd like them to confirm that, yes, this is in fact the case. If that is in fact the case, the confirmation process is supposed to last for 12 to 15 months. So are we to understand from that for the next 12 to 15 months, those who are tasked with the registration of new electors are to set that aside for the next 12 to 15 months and spend their time instead on confirmation of names of persons who are on the old list? Because if that is the case, then it means that every single young person from the 15th of November, from the 15th of October, for the next 12 to 15 months, turns 18 within that period of time, they will be deprived of the opportunity to get their names onto a new list as a newly registered Dominican voter. So what does that do, Lofty? What does that do? That eliminates that number of persons who would have been able to register their names for the next 12 to 15 months. So that's another chunk of persons who might very well be angry, upset with this government because there are no jobs, there's no opportunities, people are suffering, people are broke, etc., etc.
Yeah, Zed, apart in the interest of time now, we have like 12 more minutes. Zed, Bernard said about where the chief mentioned too much paperwork or whatever it is as a reason for the omitting of the birth certificate as a form of ID to confirm. What do you think, Zed, is sort of other reasons why you think these people don't want to go down that route?
Lofty, you see, the thing with this whole issue is an avoidance of authenticity. Because a lot of the things that the government is involved in is unauthentic things. And this political process is boiled down in a lot of unauthentic things, non-authentic processes and procedures. The fundamental issue of a birth paper ensures that you are Dominican. It ensures that you're Dominican. We have a lot of non-Dominicans involved in our political process. Even this issue of the region, Lofty, one thing we have to do moving forward is pass laws to limit non-Dominican nationals, whether they're free to come to our country and move around and get involved economically and do labor. We have to, Barbados has one of the best set of laws to ensure a patriotic control of its political process. Dominica, that is totally absent. And I am telling you, Lofty, take this thing to the court. And I will have to talk to someone, to people, but we're not even supposed to be wasting time talking about that, Lofty.
All right, agree. Brenna, just continue on the point. We have to hurry on. Thank you, sir.
The last thing I would like to raise, I mean, I'm sure there are other things if we had the time, but one of the things that caught my ear on Thursday night when I was listening to the UWP political program was when Thompson raised a particular issue, which I would like us to probably discuss later this week on radio and kind of sensitize people to it. Thompson was saying that basically it has been said a lot. We've been hearing it a lot that if the Prime Minister were to call an election at any time within the confirmation period, he is within his rights to do so, and that should he do that, what would happen is that the old list, the list that they keep referring to from July of 2025 or thereabouts, or May of 2025, that old list will be the list used. The names on that list, since the confirmation process would not have been completed in its entirety in terms of running its course, the 12 to 15-month period, that we would have to revert to the old list. Now, that's what we've been hearing all along. But my understanding now from what Thompson has said is that that is not all. That old list will be the list utilized. In addition to that, will be the names of the persons confirmed up until that particular point. So let us say, for example, he were to call election in February of next year. However many people have gone through the confirmation process from October 15th to that point in February, that these names would also be included on the list. So that tells me that if the government has been preparing beforehand to ensure that they get as many of their folks confirmed on the list, they have assisted them with getting documentation that they did not have and speeding up the process in preparation for the confirmation process. If they visit Dominica for the Pearl Festival period and they want to get it done then, and so on and so forth, that a number of them would have confirmed their names. And then you would have also, in addition to that, the persons who would have lost their terms of I'm losing my trend of thought here now.
All right.
Residency.
Whilst you try to regain your thoughts here, in the interest of time, in the 7 minutes to the hour, let us get to some of the people and their thoughts on the live feed. It says here from Guvelma, says, I can confirm, according to my friend who was in Dominica for Creole Festival, that he was facilitated by a government minister to confirm during his short stay. All right, so we have been hearing that, and you know, whenever in Dominica you see smoke, then there is fire. The point Bernard was trotting on a while ago. Read this talk again of Roosevelt calling an election before this confirmation process expired. We saw that played out already, and so there's that's nothing new. When Mr. what's his name, Dennis Byron, was in the dead heat of preparing some recommendations for us to hold elections, and this guy just circumvented the process by calling an election. And so we have had precedents in that manner. And so where this government is concerned, we have to be very, very vigilant as citizens. Marshall Lawrence says, Cleonatil, what happening and what promoted Antiguans to move toward electoral reform after Baldwin Spencer-led mobilization? I guess that is a question Marshall is asking here of Atil. Sandra says here, Sandra Shillingford says, just a tactical move to deter. A birth certificate is the cheapest and easiest document to obtain. Manorville Joseph says that's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly what they want you do, so and they can prolong the process, that person says. Mali, they are corrupt. Let me see if I could get, Cleon is saying here, including getting to school, meaning a birth paper is one of the critical documents that one would need to get a child into the schooling system. Clyde Gregoire says the birth certificate which states that you are born in Dominica and you're a citizen by birth, your original identification. Guys, you could just piggyback on any points. I'm just trying to go through all of these points here in a hurried manner. John Blanchard writes, the Electoral Commission need to revert to the SRO, which they previously agreed upon, that of having citizens use the birth certificate and photo certified by a justice of peace. Without a birth certificate, he says, no one can get any of the IDs they are currently asking for. So in other words, a birth certificate is the source document required to obtain an ID. Cleon Attil writes, don't understand. The birth certificate is our most basic form of identification and status entitlement. Clyde Gregoire says here, Scarrett is making that an issue as to make using passports a norm to make room for imported voters and to make it legal. The system should be stopped and a no system adopted. Let me see if I could run through some more here. Ferdinand Lawrence writes, the country doesn't belong to Scarrett and those passport sellers. The country belongs to the citizen and the citizens need to send that message to the governing authority. Alec Sever writes here, there has to be a great civic movement. That comes back to your point. Love of country for any meaningful change to occur. There is no way you're telling me that you cannot use your birth certificate to register to vote. Let me see that here, to vote.
Confirm, to confirm as opposed to register.
Yeah, the person says to vote. This is criminal with a collective civic group with meaning and purpose and for love of country and not political party. Only then we can have good change. We can have change for good for generations to come for our people. Let me see if I could take something here from someone I haven't mentioned the name as yet. Dorival Drago says, it seems that approach is true, is suspect and should be challenged in court. The birth certificate is a legitimate document, so why is it not used to register or confirm voters? Alex says, great conversations, you guys, great stuff. And the list goes on and on in terms of contributions coming in here.
If I may,
guys, yes, if you may, yes.
If I may, I just want to ensure that I emphasize here that the reason that I'm on here today is because I am of the view that this government will do anything and everything. They're very crafty in that which they do in order to ensure that they achieve their objectives. And so what they've done by what is going on with this confirmation process is that they're using the leadership of the body, the commission that is supposed to be independent, using the three people on there who support their agenda, and without surprise, because if they're all passport selling agents and they're benefiting from the actions of the government, what do we expect? But they're using them and their actions, a pretense that these actions are taking place based on the decisions of the Electoral Commission and its leadership, when really these people have probably discussed that with the government beforehand. And through their actions, they're depriving those who would be able to use their birth certificates, number one. So that's a large chunk removed. Then they have stopped, contrary to law, the registration of new voters, who are the young people, the 18-year-olds, people are turning 18 and will turn 18 for the next 12 to 15 months, right? And then they are utilizing, there's another thing that I want us to look at very carefully, and that is the excitement that goes with the arrival of new aircraft service to Dominica. These guys are using a strategy that is used around the world, right, to get cheap flights into your countries or your cities. It used to happen in Martinique. I've traveled on cheap flights to Martinique using that. It happens in the UK and throughout Europe, where cities will pay for the seats to be covered on flights, so that these flights, the seats can be sold cheaply to entice people to travel into those cities and spend money there on hotels and so on and so forth. The same thing is happening with Dominica, in my view. That these new airlines that are coming on stream, deals are being made with them. Mr. Linton raised it and said that yes, these people have been, they've been told in an agreement that, look, we will cover the cost of the seats that you do not manage to sell, right? We will cover that. So what happens? If the government of Dominica is using taxpayers' money to bankroll seats on an airline for every single flight, and the flight can hold 70 people and they sell only 10 tickets, but the government of Dominica pays for the other 60 seats, so that these people are making their money, they continue to fly in. Dominicans excited because we have flights coming in, but they have no idea what's happening in the background. These flights, the seats are paid for, right?
All right, Bernard, thank you.
When you want, one second, when you want to bring the people down for Creole Festival, but at the same time for them to confirm for a process that you want to utilize to add to your supporters, the seats are there to be used. All you have to do is tell the people, go to so-and-so airline, you can fly down.
Bernard,
for the ticket.
It's unfortunate, but I must cut you at this time.
Let's continue
that conversation next week if God spare. Huh?
Absolutely.
Let me just take this a little number and get your final thoughts in before we bring it to a wrap. That's our brother Nasir Fontaine telling us something in song. Folks, that is it. You know, we always appreciate and respect your time around here, huh?
Are we calling on the African National Council? We're calling on the Southwest African People's Organization. Now!
We're calling for freedom. Folks, we just ending now. We're just bringing to a wrap that conversation from 6 o'clock with Brother Zed Lloyd talking about effective or authentic leadership, and dovetail what happened in New York and telling us some things that must be done in Dominica as well. Bernard Aline joined him at 7 or after and talking about the confirmation process and some of the ills thereof.
There's no we've been working as your slave.
So guys, final thought, we have to move in just a bit. Bernard, your final thought before we move.
Yeah, well, Lofty, I want to thank you for the opportunity. Hopefully
and
we
I
can
hope
have
I hope
more.
Sorry if you felt a bit rushed, but you know,
No,
Civic
that's
Vibes
okay, my
always
brother.
respect the time, huh?
I know a man like Matt has more liberty. He can stretch it out a bit more, but yeah, but thank you for the opportunity. Again, I'll just call on Dominicans to be vigilant, to be independent in their thoughts, to utilize their own God-given brains and talents and their understanding to interpret that which is happening around them, and to hold everyone who supposedly represents them, hold them to account fully. It's not just Roosevelt that is at fault. It is also those other 18 or 19 in the group who are reps who were chosen by him, but they assist him in making decisions for Dominica. And if these decisions are detrimental to our future, we need to do what we have to do to remove them. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Thank you, Brother Bernard Allen. Thank you for being up those hours. You're what, 5 hours ahead, but you made the sacrifice. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Brother Zed, your take, your final thoughts before we go.
Yeah, Lofty. Thank you for this conversation this afternoon. Much appreciated. Let me say thanks to the listeners, to answer the comments, and it's great. It's great when we can discuss in civil capacity. I just want to leave one thing first, as Dominicans, as citizens, that we need to stop having the conversation versus the platform of the government. We need to start talking about us and the things we can do to transform our country. And I think this electoral thing, this idea of taking this bill paper thing to court is a necessity. And Lofty, we need to up the rant at home that this has to be done. This has to be done pronto. Pronto. I want to give thanks for the conversation, and everybody, God bless. One love. Lofty, I'm Brother Owen Prosper, always asking for a love.
God bless and one love. Folks, that is it.
Are we calling on the African National Council? We're calling on the Southwest African People's Organization.
So all of you who stayed the course with us tonight, thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time. Alvin Thomas says here, great conversation onto this program. He says, I will join the conversation in this coming week. Thanks, Lofty, for holding on as a champion, my friend. Zed and Bernard, greetings and blessings, my friend. Peace.
Yeah, man. Love,
Alvin,
love.
thank you very much.
400 years now we've been working as your
Cleon Atil out of Antigua and Barbuda. All those of you in the region, those of you further afield as well, thank you very, very much indeed. Without you, then there is no us. That's the Ubuntu language, huh? Without you, there's no me. So without each and every one of you guys' company each and every Sunday, this program won't be worthwhile at all. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Red blood run thick. See my people crying for freedom.
That is all we need in Dominica is freedom. Real freedom indeed. Thank you, Brother Nasio.
People crying for freedom. We need the freedom in a full equality. Freedom for Mandela from apartheid misery. We don't need no sanction from no big time hip
Brother Ned Packet, thank you very much. He says, awesome and very insightful discussion, gentlemen. John Blanchard writes, great program, guys. Let's keep the pressure on.
Freedom of speech.
Brother John, where's Brother Zah?
Written in the Human Rights of Declaration. So
with that, keep that pressure on Lingo, huh?
And the children cry.
Thank you, one and all. See you guys same time, same place next week, same place, huh? Right here on Civic Vibes. Bye-bye. I love you.
And the children and red blood run quick.
Yes, Lofty, I'm out, my brother. So.
Right now, we are a people, trodden from Genesis right down to Revelation. And so we are a people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Rastafari. Like I said, we need a freedom in a full equality. Freedom for Mandela from apartheid misery. We don't need no sanction from no big time hypocrites. While we there are suffer, they can play in politics. Freedom of expression. Freedom of speech. Written in the Human Rights of Declaration. So, and the children cry, and the dead toll rise. See my people dying for freedom. Oh, now the battle sweet, 'cause we cool the heat. See my people crying and they're weeping and they're wailing and they're dying and they're crying for freedom. No, we realize freedom of the legalized. See my people crying for freedom. Lord of mercy.